Good evening and welcome to Equipped Live. My name is Jackie Krafjack. I'll be walking you through, actually walking Greg through these questions that we've had submitted for today's event. Greg, welcome and good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so last time we met, we had some questions submitted by a couple different folks in the IFMC. We went through all of those questions, and then this time we had leaders from Omni and Quest who actually all got together and submitted questions all together through Wayne Morgan. So we've got a whole list of questions. I will honestly be very shocked if we get through all of these. So we're going to just pick them off one at a time and we'll go into next Equip Live with these if we need to. So are you ready to get started?
I am ready.
Okay. So first question, how do you ensure that team members feel valued and supported?
Well, by living by the golden rule, expecting that of others. Of course, the IFMC values are very well aligned with that. And so if we just live by the golden rule, we live within the IFMC values, and I think if we focus on helping our customers be more successful, there's just a tremendous amount of personal satisfaction. And to me, that's how you create value. That's how you feel value. And if the team is all working together toward that, that's the support.
I don't like to think that there are people that don't know what the golden rule is, but could you share with everybody what golden rule that you're referring to is?
Sure. Treat others like you want to be treated.
Yeah, easy, simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
So follow the golden rule. All right, what advice would you give someone who is starting a career in this industry? And I don't know if you want to separate that this industry or IFMC specific, or if that's the same answer for both of those, but the question just says starting a career in this industry.
Mm-hmm. I think my advice really would be the same, whether it's business unit level, IFMC, or even somewhere outside the IFMC. And that is really examine your hobbies and dissect those and look at what are the elements of those hobbies that really attract you to that. Why do you do that? Why do you spend time on that? Then try to find employment opportunities that have those elements in it. And if you can find that, and that's not easy, but if you can find it, and I would say just keep trying things until you feel that match. And once you achieve that, that's really now where your hedgehog overlap starts developing. And it takes a while. You need to keep working at it, but if you just keep testing new things, trying new things, always trying to improve yourself, I think that's the best way to do it, and that applies no matter where you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you, we mentioned Hedgehog quite a bit on these calls, and we did a little feature on that in one of the Equip newsletters. So if you want to refer back to what he's talking about, you can check that out on the ESI website. Greg, can you share a business milestone that you are particularly proud of? And I think you've probably mentioned several of these over the course of Equip Live, but just share one today that you're particularly proud of.
I think because I'm always looking to the future, one of the things that I am very, very proud of are the new record amounts of bonus dollars that get distributed. And of course, that's a gift that keeps giving, because whatever it was last year, we can be striving to achieve something bigger the following year. And so I've seen a number of those, but I'm really proud of that.
I feel like the bonus could be a whole conversation in and of itself, but we're not going to get into the weeds of that today. But I'm making a little note that maybe in the future we can talk more about that. Um, so next question, assuming you have a pretty strict regimen to start your day, what does a typical morning routine look like? Now, I actually have to share, a little more about this one with you. So when they submitted this question, they actually have sort of a vision of what they think your morning routine looks like, and I'm going to share that with you. They gave me permission to do so. So they
Sure.
visualize they visualize you waking up just before your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. You put on some sort of consistent outfit. In their vision, it was actually a white tank top and red gym shorts and white Converse sneakers. You get on the treadmill for 15 minutes and then a bike for 15 minutes, and all that while you're watching the news for latest updates. And then sometime around 5:30, you have a quick shower, get dressed, and you log in to start your day around 5:30. So that was their sort of collective vision. But what is your morning routine?
Well, it's not quite like that. Uh,
The shorts are blue, right? Not red.
right, right. No, I'll actually start the night before. The night before, I typically will think about some sort of an opportunity, just enough to get the seeds planted in my subconscious. Typically, I don't use an alarm, but typically I'll wake up between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. and I do then hug Jan. Sometimes that distracts further activities a little bit, but then I'll get out, do my typical personal hygiene stuff. But the first thing I do, well, the next thing I do is make a cup of coffee and then open my computer, and with mind mapping software, I start recording the thoughts that are prompted by the opportunity I was thinking about the evening before. And I'm not sure, I don't understand why it works the way it does, but the thoughts flow out at a pretty good pace. And the reason I use the mind mapping software is because I can't record it fast enough, but if I don't get the thoughts recorded, they just evaporate and I'm not sure I'll get them back. So that's probably the most important. Then typically that triggers now some questions. And so I'll start researching the questions. And one of the promises I made myself in lieu of going to college was that I would study 1 hour a day for the rest of my life. That's typically where I do it, is I'll typically use those questions to then do research and try to find answers on the relevant question. And then typically from there, I'll just grab quick breakfast and start looking at emails and getting into a more normal day where I'm available for phone calls, etc. When I do work out, I do listen to podcasts, and the most recent one, actually it was an audiobook. The most recent one was I forget the title. It was about the U.S. Constitution, and it was narrated by one of the famous newscasters that's now dead. But that was really good. And what I'm listening to right now is 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I have read a lot about the value of having a routine in the morning. There's a book called The 5 a.m. Club that kind of talks about there's 4 things you should do in the morning before like the rest of the world is awake. Do you find that that has been very valuable to you, is having that sort of structured and routine morning?
I believe so. Uh, I'm pretty sure that I learned how to sleep well, and I kind of learned the problem-solving sleeping routine. And this is just my speculation. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a sleep scientist, but there was about a 2 month period where I went with less than 4 hours of sleep a night,
Oof.
and that period really kind of set the pattern for me. And that was way back in that would have been the mid 70s. But that's pretty much been the routine since then. And I'm just really fortunate to sleep very, very sound. And
That
I
that
go
was
to sleep, I wake up.
pre-kids.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
it wasn't pre-business.
right.
That
Right.
was when I was near bankrupt.
Okay. Yeah, that'll keep you up.
Hmm.
Okay, well that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I know that's a personal topic, and but it's great to hear how successful people structure their lives, and people can learn from that. This question I thought was interesting. Do you ever plan on fully retiring? I think the short answer is no, but I could be wrong.
Well, it's interesting. I don't view what I'm doing as work, and but I think I've found my hedgehog and found the overlap, and so I really enjoy what I'm doing. The greatest personal satisfaction really comes from helping other people solve problems. The beauty of the U.S. economic system is that when you help someone else solve their problem, they send you money.
Hmm.
I guess, do I want to retire from that? No, not really. But it's not about the money. It's about the satisfaction comes from solving someone's problem, helping them solve a problem. The money is just an indicator of how much they appreciate what you're doing. And if I'm not real inclined to help people that aren't willing to help themselves,
Hmm.
and if they're not willing to pay for something and they want it for free, that's an indication that maybe they don't really need the help.
Yeah, that's a great point. So the short answer of no is correct.
Well, my guess is that there will come a time when my ability, my
Hmm.
mental, physical ability just isn't adequate to help. And yeah, well, I'm not sure I'll recognize when that is, but uh, when I do, I'll stop.
Okay. What little things are you doing to make that you feel make a difference? So I think this question is more geared toward, not the bonus type big programs, but what little things are you doing that you feel make a difference?
Well, that's a really interesting question because I've worked really, really hard at not spending time on little things. And so
Hmm.
most people have heard of the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. And I really have worked hard at spending time on the 20% that get the 80% of the results. And at the scale that we're at now, those tend to be pretty good sized projects. And
Hmm.
there's just not time to focus on little stuff. But with that said, there's always little opportunities to hold the door open for someone, or you wash your hands in the restroom and wipe the sink off. I mean,
Hmm.
those things don't take any time, but it gets noticed, and it sets an example for others of just how to be kind. Uh, and I'm not claiming that I'm necessarily the best example of kindness, but those little acts of kindness I think are helpful, and I think they do make a difference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that those things make a difference, and the world would be a better place if more people practice those little acts of kindness. Let's see, we have a minute or so left, so I'm gonna ask a question that I don't think is gonna have a hugely long answer. Um, how do you think, and this was coming from Quest and Omni specifically, so how do you think our company, assuming they're talking about those companies, is positioned relative to their competitors or the Omni competitors?
For Omni, I think fairly well. And if you look at the material handling manufacturers, so I'm excluding resellers, so the distributors, the systems integrators. If you look at material handling equipment manufacturers, and I'm also excluding construction equipment, between us, between Omni and Hytrol, we are the big players in that unit handling manufacturing area. And between Hytrol and Omni, Hytrol really focuses on large batch manufacturing. We focus more on the custom small batch manufacturing. And so, yes, there's some competition, but there's a lot more complementary things that happen there than competitive. And so I think that's an indication that we're positioned pretty well. The interesting downside of that is that, of course, there's other people trying to emulate that and trying to get into that position. And so it's not uncommon for companies that are in that position to get arrogant, to think that maybe they can just keep doing what they've been doing and life is going to keep going on, but it doesn't. And so we need to be alert. We need to be innovative. We need to keep satisfying those customers.
So I'll do a quick follow-up on this one and then we'll conclude for the day. How much time do you spend paying attention to what competitors are doing?
Probably more than I should, but the really the leaders of each business unit are the ones that should be paying attention to that. And because again, the IFMC, and I say again, I mean, I've repeated in a number of our Equipped Live sessions that the IFMC is an economy. And so I really focus at the economy level, and I'm trying to create the environment that allows those business units to thrive. But there's just no way one person can absorb enough information and then disseminate it out to really make much of a difference. So the leaders at Omni really need to pay attention to that, and I think have been. And there's the beauty of the small batch manufacturing is you have to listen to the customer in order to satisfy them on a transaction by transaction basis. And if we look at the amount of bad debt that Omni has, it's very, very small, which is a really good indicator that we're listening to what the customers are asking for, we're delivering what they're asking for, and they're satisfied and they pay us.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Greg, we got through just a fraction of the questions, so we've got plenty more for the next Equipped Live, next one or two probably. I really enjoy these questions. I like that they come from within the IFMC, directly from the folks that are doing the work. So thank you for your willingness to answer these and kind of be put on the spot a little bit. Our next Equipped Live we have on the calendar for June 17th, so that email notification will come out when it's closer to that date. So Greg, any final words for today?
Thank you for the questions. Please make them tougher.
We saved the toughest ones out of this list for later, so just wait. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in a month.
Good night.